All right, so this is the fifth rule in Elements of Style from the Elementary Rules of Usage. Okay, our seventh lesson altogether, but the fifth rule, since we spent about 3 of them on rule number 3. Okay, so rule number 5 is like the other ones, very simple in its actual verbiage, but in application it's complex. So we're going to talk about that today. So do not join independent clauses with a comma. Sounds simple enough, all right, but I want to sort of elaborate on that a little bit. Okay, first of all, when you talk about what an independent clause is, okay, and joining 2 independent clauses, you're touching on sentence structure, okay, which is important in understanding how to apply this rule. So when you talk about sentence structure, basically there's 4 sentence structures, right, in our English language. Hopefully this sounds vaguely familiar to you, okay? And let's see, the last one, compound complex, right? So a simple sentence is basically 1 independent clause, right? Okay. A compound sentence is 2 independent clauses joined together, right? Complex sentence is a subordinate clause and an independent clause, or vice versa, okay? And compound complex would be 2 independent clauses and a subordinate clause, okay? So what this rule today deals with mostly is the compound sentence structure, because you're dealing with 2 independent clauses, okay? So let's look at an example of this, now that we've reviewed those 4 sentence structures. Okay, so if I write the sentence, it is, and I'll just take this straight out of Elements of Style, it is nearly 5:30, 1 sentence, right? Okay, and then we cannot reach town before dark. So if you look at these without any punctuation, you should be able to identify that both of these are independent clauses that really alone can stand by themselves, right? They don't need anything else to be complete sentences. Okay, but if these 2 sentences were to appear next to each other in an essay I was writing, or in anything I was writing, right, I have a few different options at my disposal for how I can separate them. Now, rule number 5 tells us don't join them or separate them with a comma. Okay, so we're going to pay attention to that. Okay, first of all, I could always just put a period there, and I've separated them. Grammatically, it's correct, right? Put a period between the 2 complete sentences, it's fine, okay? But there's more that you can do here that can suggest a relationship between the 2 sentences, which there obviously is, right? There's a cause and effect going on here. It's nearly 5:30, and because of that, right, we cannot reach town before dark. Oh, town, not down. Okay? All right? So the second option, okay, would be to use a comma and a conjunction, right? Just like we've talked about. It's nearly 5:30, comma, so we cannot reach town before dark, right? So this is joining an independent clause not just with a comma, but with a comma and a conjunction, right? One of the coordinating conjunctions, so, okay? That's an option as well, right? And this is a little bit better because it suggests that there's a relationship between the 2 sentences, right? Now the third option is the best option, okay, in this specific situation, and that is the use of an often ignored punctuation mark, but very useful if you know how to use it correctly, the semicolon, okay? The semicolon here says what I was saying with the comma and a conjunction, but in less time, basically, right? Less amount of words or letters. It's more forcible, right? It's more concise, to the point. It is nearly 5:30, we cannot reach town before dark. With a semicolon there, it shows, okay, what the semicolon tells you is that there's a relationship between these two sentences. Because of this, we can do this, right? Because of that, we can't do that. There's a cause and effect, right? So the semicolon tells the reader all of that. In just that little dot and comma mark, you can convey all that information. You can communicate that relationship, right? So instead of saying, it is nearly 5:30, because of that, we cannot reach town before dark, I could just throw out because of that and put the semicolon there, right? And it tells the reader that there's a relationship between these two sentences, okay? That's the key thing in terms of the semicolon to understand, okay? Because it is very useful. And although this rule up here doesn't exactly talk about semicolons, right? Indirectly it does, because it's saying don't do it this way, right? And here's a way you can do it by using the semicolon. Okay? Now, doesn't mean you should always use the semicolon, right? Two sentences have to be strongly related. If they're not related, there's not a cause and effect relationship, well, you just put a period there, right? A period to separate them. But if there is, you can use a semicolon. Okay? So do not join independent clauses with a comma.